Presented by the Daily Free Press, this is Unmasked. Welcome back to Unmasked, the storytelling podcast that uncovers the thoughts, feelings, and voices of the BU community. I'm your host, Adam Lazowski. The climate of college is already rife with stress, sleep deprivation, and general pressures of becoming a functioning member of society. To add to all that, many of us develop fears, whether rational or irrational, which can tag along with us as we attempt to navigate the complexities of young adult life. Fear can be debilitating, but it can also be motivating. Most of all, our fears can tell us something about ourselves that we may not otherwise be consciously aware of. Today, we ask students to come to terms with their greatest fears and acknowledge their origins. Now let's turn it over to our field reporting segment, where we ask students to share what scares them. Hi, I'm Adam Lazowski.
And I'm Veronica Thompson.
And we're at GSU asking students a specific question.
We're asking them, what is your greatest fear?
Having the time and energy to do all that needs to be done for the end of the semester here.
My greatest fear is becoming a slave to money. I'm afraid to lose track of what keeps me happy in life just so that I can make an extra cent or two. So staying true to who I am and not forgetting that, self-worth is more expensive than just money is very important to me. So I would say that's my biggest fear.
I guess my greatest fear is wasting my life and dying unsatisfied with what I've done in life.
I would have to say being forgotten. Coco really messed me up as a movie, so I if you were forgotten, were you even there? What impact did you make on society, on your family? That, yeah.
Do you feel like that motivates you?
Kind of. I feel like I have to make my mark now, which is a lot of pressure, lucky.
I have a fear of birds because when I was young, I saw a pelican in real life, and then I genuinely thought it could eat me whole, and from then point on, I don't like birds.
My biggest fear is lice because I had it when I was younger 3 times, and I was so scared that I'd make my dad check my head every single day for 3 years before I went to school because I was so scared of it.
Wow.
So I think my greatest fear is probably seeing the people that I'm close to either suffering or die, I guess, in a dramatic way, not an expected way. That's usually something that I think about, and it kind of just scares me a lot.
My greatest fear definitely has to be the concept of time and how we all age, and time just quickly passes. I'm also afraid of death, the finality of it all, and it's just a scary concept to see people aging around you and sort of see life flash by, and the greatest memories just pass with age. So I know that was dark, but
That's a fear. That's what a fear is.
yeah. So time for sure is definitely terrifying.
I'm scared of all my loved ones dying.
That makes sense. What is your greatest fear?
The ocean. My greatest fear is tsunamis. I'm just terrified of the ocean in general, and the idea of just a big wave coming to attack me makes me want to cry. Yeah, I don't like tsunamis.
I have a fear of needles.
Is there a reason?
I went to the doctor's once and they had to give me a shot in my kneecap, and I kicked the nurse. So now I just can't get shots anymore.
I think my greatest fear is probably heights. I'm so deathly afraid of falling off of anything. So, yeah.
So boring. That's a classic. Thank you.
I would say needles, because I used to have a dream as a kid where there was a needle that would go through my family's eyeballs. So now every time I get a shot, I cry. Oh my God, yeah. And it's an irrational fear, and I'm aware of that.
Not irrational. Don't invalidate yourself.
Thank you for sharing.
This is a weird one because yours just like reminded me of mine. But getting like a paper cut on your eye.
Oh my god, yeah. That's also a part of it.
Or just paper cuts in general are just not fun.
Paper cuts are your greatest
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know if I got,
Thank you. Did you want to?
Yeah, mine's flying 100%. I cry every time I get on a plane.
It always has to do with tears.
Okay, we got heights and flying, and then
Yeah.
we got some paper.
We're on the same.
Okay, group moment. What is your greatest fear?
Rejection.
Is that all you want to say?
Yeah.
Cool. Gotcha.
My greatest fear is that like what I'm living in right now is some sort of like simulation, or like I'm in a coma. So if I like wake up one day and I'm like actually like a dog or something, or like just some like 40-year-old man, it'd be really scary, you know?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you so much. So after doing our field reporting and asking people what their greatest fear is, I would say what we actually found is a little bit different than our expectations going in. Wouldn't you, Adam?
I thought there was a mix of some superficial responses and some more really in-depth responses. I think it just really depends on how long the student really thinks about their response and how much they really want to, delve into their thoughts and how much they want to provide to the podcast. So.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough question to be presented with and have to think of something off the top of your head, because for a lot of us, in a moment where we're afraid, we'll be, self-aware of what our fears are, but it's not something that you really want to bring up or that your brain wants to remind you of. So I would say for a lot of people, it was kind of tough to think of something. And then when they did, a lot of people went super, super deep, and it kind of touched our souls.
So to get in the same mindset as the students who we were asking, I would say my greatest fear, whether it is rational or irrational, I'm not sure, but it's not finding a passion, a chosen path for the rest of my life. And again, we're young, we don't know exactly what we want to do. We should be exploring, we should be discovering, meeting new people, trying to find out what we like, what we don't like. But there's always this idea in the back of my mind, what can you do further to find out what you love, and how can you pursue that further? So that's a fear of mine, just something I've been thinking about for the past few years.
Yeah, and with that fear, it's also can be for some people a motivator, for sure. That's a pretty common pressure that a lot of people experience. For me, I would say my personal greatest fear is not being healthy, and that's all I'm gonna say on that. So yeah, I think that like today's episode was there were a lot of moments that were kind of unexpected and funny kind of, but then there were a lot of moments that were really deep.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Unmasked, presented by the Daily Free Press. Make sure to tune in every Wednesday to hear the latest episode, and find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcast. Our podcast archive is located at dfpress.co/listen, where you can listen to previous episodes of Unmasked and hear people share their takes on intriguing topics. Once again, this is your host, Adam Lazowski, signing off until we meet again. Goodbye.